this video, I'll be breaking down my personal top 10 wide receivers in this NFL draft class. I will be breaking down how they should be valued in Dynasty, where they should go in rookie drafts, and they will also be separated by tiers. And this is all happening right now. What's going on, guys? This is Bruce Matson, your host of the show, Metric Scout Fantasy Football. Follow me on Twitter at Metric Scout, and then all of my other social media platforms is at Metric Scout. That's where you can find me at. But today, I'm going to be breaking down my top 10 wide receivers, and I'm going to be breaking them down by tier. That way, when they're close in value and I'm iffy between them, the tier is where I'm going from. I also, in drafts, also with players, I'm very objective. I like to diversify my portfolio, so I like to use a tier system to rank players that are close in value. And we're early in the game, we're mid-February. These rankings are more than likely going to change between now and draft day. So these are not concrete. I will do another video in the next few weeks or months when these rankings change. But let's get this started. So for tier 1, there's one player in it, and that's Jamar Chase. He is my top wide receiver. He is submitted in concrete at this position because he is a baller. He is very good against press coverage and broke out at age 19 last year. As you know, 1,700 yards, 20 touchdowns, 29.55% market share of the offensive production. He is the standout. He's the wide receiver one, almost consensus for most people, and it's hard to find any red flags in his game. He did not play this year. It doesn't matter. We've seen enough tape. We've seen him produce. We've seen how he wins, and just an overall fantastic player. Has the size, the speed, can get yards after the catch, can win in contested coverage. It's just, you just name it and he excels there. That's pretty much it. He can play in slide, he can play outside. You name it, he's good there. Tier 2 has just one player as well. And this player, any other class, he's a tier 1 guy. But this year, it's just a tough sledding. Jamar Chase is such a stud. But Rashad Bateman's my number 2 player in his class. He's in tier 2. I could put him in there with tier 1. With Chase is like a 1B, 1A. I'm not against that, especially if he goes to a great situation, gets decent draft capital. Tremendous player, good ball skills, good deep speed, sticky hands. Broke out at age 18. One of the few wide receivers in this class that broke out this early. That year at age 18, 25.94% market share. And then after that, he just improved. 37% market share at 19 and a 33% market share this year. He's also had to share the field with Tyler Johnson and still was able to produce. Very good player. Hardly any red flags in his game. Should be considered one of the top players in this draft class at the wide receiver position. A lot of people are sleeping on him because he didn't play much this year, and that isn't really a smart move because this guy has proved himself the last 3 seasons. 2020 is a tricky year for draft analysis because we have a small sample of games for a lot of these players. But Rashad Bateman, wide receiver 2, tier 2 for me. Tier 3 is where things get a little murky. And it gets murky because values get kind of weird due to draft capital. Rondale Moore cemented as my wide receiver 3, and he's in tier 3. Broke out at age 19 with a 31.47% market share of the offensive production. Super athlete, runs into 4.3s, 4.2 vertical, runs routes, can get yards after the catch, and he's a very nuanced player. You can see the burst on the field. There's just nothing not to like about this guy. Some people are iffy about his size. Some people are iffy about the injuries. Some people are iffy about the projected draft capital. But I'm a Rondale Moore guy. I have him as my wide receiver 3. He's not moving from there. I think he's going to get good draft capital, at least a second-round pick, and I think that's going to be good enough for him. The next 3 in this tier 3 are Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle, and Terrence Marshall. Jalen Waddle, Devonta Smith, they're both going to be high-end first-round picks. And since they're going to get that draft capital, I have to put him at a respectable position in my rankings because they're at least going to get opportunities to succeed early in their career. Whether they perform, that's a different story, but they're definitely going to get that opportunity. Devonta Smith won the Heisman this year. You can't knock him too low. He does have some red flags in his profile. The size-adjusted speed with his weight, with him being around 165, 160 pounds, being super slender is an issue. And his production from an ownership standpoint is not the best. He broke out at age 20 with a 28.23% market share. Context to wrap around that is he's been playing with multiple first-round picks, Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, Jalen Waddle. Understand that, but still, you have to recognize that he has a later than great breakout age. 20's not bad. He made up for it this year, though. He's a good player. I like him. I feel like I'm drafting him pretty high still at this spot. Jalen Waddle, injuries has hurt his career. Not really killed it, though. He hasn't broken out yet. However, he would have this year. He was on a tear before he got injured. The speed is second to none. His ball skills are second to none for his size. Size-adjusted ball skills should be a new metric. That could help him at the next level because there's not many guys can stretch the field like him, just rise up and make plays. He's Tyreek Hill-esque in those regards, and I say Tyreek Hill-esque in those regards because I don't like comparing players to unicorn profiles like Tyreek Hill, so I just say they're kind of close and they play similar. I do like that profile, I do like his draft capital, and I'm kind of wishy-washy on which player I like better between Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle. You can make a case that Devonta Smith more than likely would not have won the Heisman if Jalen Waddle would have gotten injured. That's almost a fact because they would have just cannibalized each other. But still would have been hyper productive. Still probably would have ended up in the same spot in my ranking, so it doesn't even matter about that statement. The weird name for most people in Tier 3 is Terrace Marshall. And there's a lot of good things about his profile. He's being projected to get drafted in the first round by a lot of people. You hear this from like scouts or former scouts, big draft media. You have a feeling that NFL teams are leaning towards LSU wide receivers. Terrace Marshall has a lot of good things in his profile. Like Devonta Smith, he broke out at age 20, which was this year. He's a younger wide receiver. He has deep speed. He has length. He has good hands. With him playing with that trio of Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, that prevented him from being able to put those egregious numbers, those egregious counting stats like some of these other wide receivers do. You can't hold that against him completely. Like, you can't hold that against Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle completely. If not, then it's kind of not fair that you're siding with one and not the other. Terrace Marshall does a lot of good things on tape. Draft capital is projected to be there with him. And he's got speed and size. Production numbers is there. They're not elite level, but they're good enough. Tier 4, and I have them highlighted in a different color because I'm not wishy-washy on these players. I'm pretty high on them, and I feel like they can be bumped up to Tier 3 any day, or maybe the top of Tier 3, and there's no way in my heart I could bump them down unless they murder kittens or something. But Elijah Moore is a baller, a smaller wide receiver from Ole Miss, but had a 36.51% market share offensive production at age 19, and followed it up with a 34.59% market share at age 20. Second in the SEC in receiving yards. He is a tremendous athlete. He's fast, has good hands, get yards after the catch, and he has a good player profile as well. I'm very high on him, and I'm also very high on Dyami Brown. Dyami Brown is a deep threat. I think he could be the best deep threat in his class. He's very underrated. Good route runner, good nuanced play, great hands, productive, broke out at age 19 as well. You gotta love players or wide receivers that break out at age 19 or earlier, and we have both of these guys in Tier 4 with Elijah Moore and Dyami Brown. You can't be productive at the NFL level, or you're more likely not going to be productive at the NFL level unless you're productive at the college level. Both of these guys were. They were key contributors to their offense. They're both check the boxes when it comes to athleticism, and they are players that I want on all my Dynasty teams. As far as I feel, they're tier 3. Draft capital and where the NFL values them is what's going to assert their overall Dynasty or rookie draft value for me. I will have them up higher than most people, and I feel very safe with that. Tier 5 is very interesting because I like all these players. I like all the players in my top 10. I feel like everybody in my top 10, especially the back half, can be regarded as high-end players on any single draft, especially 2017 and before. We've had a tremendous crop of wide receivers in the 2019 draft, 2020 draft, and this draft. Big pool of talent, and this is another tremendous pool of talent, and we'll have another one next year. But tier 5 here, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Very nuanced player, good route runner, broke out really early at age 18, 25.09% market share, and then continued on that path with a 23% age 19 and then 24% age 20. Younger player. Again, he's a very nuanced player, knows how to sell his routes, does all the good things on the field. I question his athleticism. I question his deep speed. That bothers me a little bit. I also want to see how well the NFL likes him because we have a deep wide receiver class. We have some breakout guys here. We have some athletic specimens. So I want to see how he fits in with the NFL scheme. But the reason why I have him below Elijah Moore and Dami Brown is because Moore and Brown are more athletic, and they were closer to being hyper productive compared to Amon-Ra had just steady production per se. That means a lot to me. Tylan Wallace, he could be moved above Amon-Ra St. Brown or even be moved up to tier 4 on some days for me. He's that good of a player. Really high on him a year prior, but then he tore his ACL, had to come back, and it made sense for him because that just killed his draft capital going into next year's draft. And the cool thing about that is he tore his ACL, came back, and performed. This year at a 34.99% market share. This guy broke out at age 19 with a 37% market share. So, again, a good player. Smaller wide receiver, kind of like a Terry Glenn-esque player, and does everything well. Speed, short area quickness, can make plays, make contested catches. Got a lot of fire in him. Will fight for the ball. Has that my ball mentality. Runs routes well. All these guys run routes well. Some of them may have their hiccups here and there, a little red flag in their route profile, but you're rarely going to see wide receivers that can't run routes anymore because they're bred from such a young age to be able to sell routes and really run the tree. Tylan Wallace could be the breakout player out of this draft that no one sees coming. A lot of people are seeing it coming because a lot of people have been watching him and liking him for years. But when it comes down to the lesser informed or the casuals per se, Tylan Wallace would be a breakout player for them. He is an older prospect because he had to play an extra year. We have context around it, but again, when it comes to the metrics, context doesn't really matter when it comes to the overall average. But where I have my ranks is pretty safe, and considering how talented he is, how productive he's been throughout his career, I'm not against moving him up in my rankings, in my values. I like him a lot. And then I'm going to add, that's my 10th player. I'm going to add in one more for a cherry on top, and plus I can't leave him out, and that's Seth Williams. He's the big-bodied, physical wide receiver in this group. He broke out at age 20 with a 30.77% market share of Auburn's passing production. He is a good size-adjusted athlete, very aggressive. He is good at contested catches, can win those jump balls, could be a steal in the second round of rookie drafts. All these guys in the back half of these rankings could be steals the second half of rookie drafts, and it could be multiple of these players. I suspect these wide receivers to go off at multiple different times during their NFL careers, like fireworks, just popping off, because these are a lot of good players. But I like Seth Williams. I've been watching him throughout his career. Has good ball skills. Has great highlight film on him. Just check out the highlight, just the raw highlights of him, and you'll be amazed. Back-to-back 30% market share seasons. It's hard to find many knocks on Williams. There are some, but I highlighted that in my previous profile video for that about a month or so ago. And I highlighted those red flags, and I was like, yeah, I'm still going to rank him high. 11, or the mishmash in tier 5, that's still high. Any other draft, you're talking about a tier 3 guy, tier 2-ish. He's that kind of playmaker. Like tier 3, tier 4, tier 5, those are players that are usually selected higher, valued more in rookie drafts any other year. But this year's so deep that these players get diluted down due to the talent. And I can see myself shifting these ranks around a little bit. And if I see myself shifting these players around, the players that will get shifted are more likely Elijah Moore, De'Ami Brown, and they're more likely to go up or stay put. Terrence Marshall is in jeopardy of dropping down to tier 4 if he does not land in the first round, because Elijah Moore and De'Ami Brown, they could easily jump him, or he could at least get jumped by them. Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle are solid in tier 3. It's hard to move them. I know their draft capital is going to be there, and I have to give them a considerable ranking because of that, and because of what Devonta Smith did this year, and Jalen Waddle's speed profile per se. Amon-Ra St. Brown really has to be liked by the NFL for me to bump him up. Same with Tylan Wallace due to his age. Same with Seth Williams. But tier 4 is open for those tier 5 guys to bump up. There's some other guys I like past this top 11, but that's for a different day. But that's my top 10. That's who I like in this draft. That's how my tiers are for right now in mid-February. I'll have another video once these ranks change a little bit to bounce off what's going on in my head to you guys, so you guys are ready for your rookie drafts. Thank you for watching this video. I'll catch you next time. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next episode, and peace out.